Hi, everyone. My name is May, and I am here speaking today as a representative of the Netflix watchers and couch potatoes. In fact, the very first thing that you need to know about me is that I am not an athlete. I was actually so unathletic as a child that I had to take remedial PE classes. For a couple of weeks in elementary school, I spent my recess with the PE teacher, practicing how to dribble, skip, and even jump rope. I remember watching all the other kids hang off the monkey bars and throw themselves through the air while I felt almost trapped by my body. I wanted nothing more than to do leaps and somersaults on the playground, but I couldn't graduate from bunny hops in the gym with the PE teacher. So maybe this is why the first time I felt lower back pain, I brushed it off as nothing. I was 16 on a family trip to Disneyland and had just spent the whole day walking around. I knew that this stabbing pain from my spine to my hip wasn't exactly normal for someone my age, but then again, wasn't everyone else my age playing soccer or on the cheer team? I thought I probably just needed to work out more. My mom noticed me limping and asked if I was in pain. I told her no, I was just out of shape. The next time my back pain flared up, I was at a high school party with a group of my friends. I remember laying down on a couch in my friend's living room and realizing that I couldn't get up without triggering this squeezing, searing pain. So I didn't move. I stayed laid on the couch while my friends all left me to test their new fake IDs at the bar. My pain continued into the next day, but I was embarrassed to tell anyone I had hurt my back by doing nothing, so I lied. At school on Monday, I told everyone that the party was so crazy that I had thrown my back out on a mechanical bull. One of my classmates noticed me limping and asked if I was in pain. I told her no, I was just out of shape. My next flare was in my eye. I was diagnosed with iritis, and the eye doctor told me that this condition was uncommon for someone my age. She passed me a pamphlet on autoimmune diseases and asked if I had ever felt any lower back pain. I told her no, I had never had anything like that. On the car ride home, my mom asked why I hadn't told the doctor about my back pain. What about that time at Disneyland, she asked me, or that night at the party? I told her that wasn't pain, that was just being out of shape. In college, I watched my friends play ultimate frisbee and jump around in frat basements while I carried around one of those like dinosaur grabber things to help me pick laundry up off my dorm room floor. I finally decided enough was enough and got a referral from my doctor to see a physical therapist. It was time to get in shape. Really thankfully, after a few weeks of watching me struggle to move, the PT encouraged me to see a spine specialist. Then, after an MRI and some blood work, I ended up with a diagnosis of non radiographic axial spondyloarthritis. But instead of ending my years of self blame, the diagnosis strengthened my beliefs about myself. I read pages on WebMD about how joint pain improves with movement. I read online forums about how diet and exercise can send AS into remission, and I read inspirational stories about patients climbing mountains and running marathons. I heard the phrase motion is lotion repeated over and over and over again until I connected my AS to my childhood shame about my body and my athleticism. The rhetoric that was supposed to inspire me and make me feel like I could conquer my disease instead confirmed what I already felt about myself. This pain was my fault. If I had just played more sports or been better at jumping rope as a kid, I wouldn't be feeling this way. So I refused all but the minimum medical treatments and told myself that the pain would stop as soon as I got into better shape. I committed myself to workout plan after workout plan, but training too hard or stepping the wrong way while jogging would trigger a flare up, and I'd be back to square one after a few weeks. Every attempt to control my disease left me feeling more controlled by it. But this is why I wanted to speak today as a young adult with AS who isn't climbing mountains or running marathons. I wasn't able to make any progress in my treatment until I set a goal that felt actually important to me. I may never be a triathlete, but one day I decided that I wanted to be able to throw my body around like those kids I'd once envied on the playground. I wanted to be able to jump and dance and move without worrying about my spine. And once I realized this, things slowly started to change. I worked out with a physical trainer who really understood my limitations, and I finally started a biologic medication. My pain reduced, and to my surprise, movement started to feel much easier. Now, working out is kind of fun. Well, I mean, that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I have learned that my AS is not some kind of punishment for being out of shape. No matter your health or physical fitness, everyone deserves to find joy in moving their body. This weekend, I went to a concert with a group of my friends, an activity that would have filled me with anxiety just a few years ago. But instead of thinking about the pain or my spine, I danced and sung my heart out in the middle of the crowd. And when the artist told us all to jump to the chorus of my favorite song, I let my body fly into the air like I was a kindergartner on the playground. I may still be out of shape, but it was the last thing on my mind.